This being our first class, so are you discussing something already before I joined?
Ma'am, students were still joining and we were then waiting for you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I think because this is the very first session that we are having on organizational behavior, and we've already missed a few minutes of the class. So we can just have a very introductory discussion today. And then when we have the classes from tomorrow onwards, we'll start with the specific topics in the syllabus, right? I think tomorrow our class has been slightly shifted. We'll be having the class in the third period. So I don't know if students are aware. So we'll be having our OB class in the third period tomorrow, okay? Now, I think I'll just be discussing today about what organizational behavior is all about and why, as students of management, we need to study organizational behavior. Okay. Now, as the term itself denotes, organizational behavior is about how we behave in the organization. Now, behavior is about everything that you do, how you're doing certain things, how you are communicating with people, how you are working, how you are interacting. So it's all about how we behave and how we do things around in an organization. Now, this behavior is important because we say that everything that happens in an organization, it happens because of the behavior of people, how we behave. And for example, how you talk to your colleagues, how you talk to the people around you, how you interact with them, the kind of communication taking place, the kind of teamwork which is happening, what kind of learning is taking place, how motivated people are, and then as a result of that level of motivation, how they perform, how they behave. So all these things are important because your behavior affects how you perform, and your performance affects the overall performance of the organization. So therefore, we say that behavior is something which essentially determines what an organization is. So what you are as an organization is nothing but the behavior of your people. And that is why organizational behavior is an important discipline. You know, as students of management, we need to understand the nuances of why people behave in a certain manner. If there are negative behaviors, what is the reason behind those negative behaviors? What can be done? What we can do as managers to amend those negative behaviors? What are the positive behaviors that we expect in an organization, how people should behave? And then how can we bring about that kind of positive behavior? So organizational behavior is a discipline that deals with all of these things. Now, to put it summarily, let me discuss how this concept of organizational behavior evolved. Now, so very briefly, I'll just throw some light on where all this concept of behavior and organizational behavior actually came from. Now, if we go back 100 years, we know that when initially, organizations were coming up and corporatization was happening and industrialization had spread to most of the Western world, the initial condition of employees and workers was not very good. Mostly the workers were working in factories, they were working in shop floor work, as we call it. Most of the factories were not in very good condition. The condition of workers was not very good. So at that time, we see, initially in the beginning of the 20th century, working conditions were not very favorable. Workers were often exploited. The benefits and salaries were very meager, and the overall working conditions were not very conducive for work. It was during this time that some social reformers came to the fore, especially in Europe. And many of them, like Robert Owen and Elton Mayo, these are prominent names who actually set about working in this area as to how can workers' conditions be improved. Now, Robert Owen is one important name because Owen, he looked at the plight of workers and he was affected by that. And he felt that workers need to be given due consideration. The working conditions in factories have to be improved because, see, at that time, majority of the workers were working in factories. They were all factory workers, shop floor workers, blue collar workers, as we call them, and the condition was not very good. So Robert Owen, he started a movement to actually speak for the right of workers. And he is the person who is credited to have started the trade union movement across the world. He said that workers need to speak up for their rights, workers need to be given their due, and if needed, workers need to organize into trade unions, so that when you organize into a union, you become stronger, you are able to express your position, you are able to get your demands met, and so on. So to improve the condition of workers, it was desired that workers need to be united, they need to form trade unions, and their rights have to be given to them. So this was the beginning of the time when some consideration was given to workers' condition and improving the condition of employees. This was, initially 1920s and that period. Then around a little time later than that, 1930s, there was another important researcher and activist, if we can call, who emerged at that time, who said that, a lot of things need to be done regarding workers' condition. And this person was Elton Mayo. And you might have read about Elton Mayo maybe in your first semester. So Elton Mayo is the person who is associated with the human relations movement. So Elton Mayo said that at the workplace, it is human relations which are important. How you treat your workers, how you, the kind of respect you give to your workers, the kind of expectations you have from your workers, the positive environment that you create around workers. All these things are important and they impact how workers behave and how workers perform and so on. So this human relations movement, which was started by Elton Mayo, and the ideas of which spread across the world very fast, it changed the entire way we looked at organizations. Because prior to this, organizations were only focusing on the output, the product, and maybe the market. But it was only after Elton Mayo's movement that we started focusing on employees. And we started realizing that people are important. Employees are important. And when they're coming to work, we have to respect employees, we have to respect their skills, we have to respect their competencies and capabilities, and they have to be treated in a proper manner. So it was only after this that we started giving importance to concepts like behavior. People's behavior is important, and this behavior can be positively changed to affect the performance of an organization in a positive manner. So a lot of thought started to go into, positive behaviors and concepts like motivation and commitment of employees and job satisfaction. All of these concepts, they started to emerge after Elton Mayo's exercise, after Elton Mayo's movement. So it was then that, companies started paying some attention to the fact that there are people in your organization and these are human beings. They have needs, they have certain requirements, they have certain aspirations, and those have to be fulfilled by the organization. So overall, this importance of behavior started to emerge. Subsequent to Elton Mayo's movement, there were a few other people who emerged, around the 1950s and around that period, 60s, Benin was an important researcher in this area. And these were the people who actually started specifically focusing on the behavioral dimensions of work, the behavioral dimensions of organizations. And they said that the most important aspect that affects the working of an organization is people's behavior. If people behave in the right way, as is expected from them, the organization will perform, the organization will flourish. If they do not behave in the right ways, the organization will not perform, it will falter, and it will not be able to stay in the market. So we need to have an understanding of people's behavior, and we need to ensure that we have an environment or culture where people behave in the right ways, the ways which are expected from them, depending on what the organization is doing, depending on how it is supposed to perform, depending on what it is supposed to achieve. So people have to behave in ways that help the organization achieve its objectives. So it was after this that a lot of emphasis started to be given on these behavioral dimensions, and the behavioral sciences, as we call in organizations. It emerged after this 1950s primarily and 1960s. And this discipline of organizational behavior came into existence. And when management schools were set up and management education became formalized with the setting up of management institutes in the 60s, organizational behavior was introduced as an important discipline because of the fact that it was believed that students of management need to have an understanding of these behavioral dimensions. So in this paper, we'll be looking at what are these behavioral dimensions that we need to be aware of as students of management, and how do these behavioral dimensions affect our working, how do they impact the organization, and what do we do as managers to ensure that people behave in the right way. Now, there are three levels of behaviors that this discipline deals with, and each of the unit and the topics that we have, subsequently, they will focus on these three levels of behaviors. So the most basic level of behavior is the individual behavior, which refers to how an individual behaves at the workplace. So for example, how I perceive things, how I work, what is my personality like, how motivated I am, how committed I am, how I'm learning at the workplace. So all of these things which are part of individual behavior, they are all part of this discipline of organizational behavior. So maybe in the initial 2 units, we'll be focusing on these individual dimensions of organizational behavior, how people behave as individuals at the workplace. Because each person is different. We all have our own different personalities. We have different individualities, and we work differently. We behave differently. We learn differently. We have different motivation levels. And of course, these things, they impact the working of the organization. So we'll be looking at all of these dimensions of individual behavior. Then the second set of behavior that OB deals with is team-based behavior, which means how do we interact with others, interpersonal behavior, how do we interact in teams, so team behavior, team communication, how teams get formed, how do they work, how do they assign jobs to each other, who leads the team, who motivates the team, what happens if there is a problem in the team, how it has to be addressed. So teams are important in organizations, especially nowadays. There's a lot of emphasis on teamwork. So how do we form teams? How do we ensure that teams work synergistically? And if there are any problems in team working, how do we ensure that those problems are addressed? So team behavior is an important component of organizational behavior. So the next level of behavior that we will be discussing is about all of this team behavior. So group behavior, how groups get formed and how they work, and if there is a problem, how will those problems be resolved, and so on. So team behavior is the next level of behavior that we discuss. And then the third level of behavior that we discuss in OB is the overall organizational behavior. How do we behave as an organization? What is our culture? What is the overall working style? What is the overall organizational atmosphere? What is the overall organizational climate? The overall culture of the organization. So that is the third level of behavior that we discuss in this discipline. So every organization has a culture. We say every organization has a personality. Every organization has an orientation of working. So maybe, Facebook has a different personality, or Google has a different personality, or let's say TCS has a different personality, or Wipro may have a different personality. So this personality is your culture, the way people work. We say culture is how we do things. So every organization has a different culture. So the third level of behavior that we discuss is the overall culture of the organization, the overall climate that exists in the organization, because that is also an important component of behavior. And that again affects the overall working of the organization and the performance and productivity of the organization. So these are three levels of behaviors that we will be dealing with: individual, team, and organization. And we'll be looking at a lot of things that encompass these three levels of behavior. And then the nuances of all of these three levels of behavior, and how do we address shortcomings and problems, and what do you need to understand as managers, what kind of behavioral insights you should develop, how to understand behaviors, how to understand problems, how to identify problems, how to address those problems. So those kinds of issues are what we deal with in organizational behavior. One more thing that I would like to point out is that typically it is said that organizational behavior, because it deals with employees, so we normally associate it with, the human relations aspect or the human resource aspect and so on, managing employees and all those things. But it is extremely important to understand that organizational behavior is not just about the employee-specific, human resource management aspect. Organizational behavior is a broader concept, and it is important for all managers, irrespective of the area and specialization they belong to, that they have an understanding of organizational behavior. Because it is said that all managers are, in a way, people managers. So you may be a marketing manager, or you may be a finance manager, or you may be an operations manager. But as a manager, you are working with people. You're working with a team. You may be having certain subordinates. You may be giving instructions. You may be leading a team and, managing a team, motivating a team, and so on and so forth. So even if you are a marketing manager, you are still a people manager because you're working with people. Or even if you are an operations manager, you are still a people manager because you're working with people. You are managing people, you are leading them, you are communicating with them, you are motivating them, you are, managing people's behavior in a way. So irrespective of what area one may belong to, or irrespective of what specialization one may have, as a manager, you are working with people most of the time, interacting with them most of the time, managing them most of the time. And so an understanding of organizational behavior is primary to any manager, because it's all about managing people. Your effectiveness, your performance, it all depends on how you lead your team and how you manage your team and how you motivate your team and so on. So we are all people managers. We all manage people, we all work with people, we all, understand behaviors, and we all try to adopt measures to improve people's behaviors and so on. And so that is why organizational behavior is a broad, overarching discipline, which is of relevance to all managers. And that is why management students need to have an understanding of this discipline of organizational behavior. So this was just a brief overview of what organizational behavior is. I'll not be starting with specific topics today. We don't have time also for that. But when we have our classes from tomorrow onwards, we'll start with specific topics of organizational behavior, and then a little more into the origin and evolution, which we need to discuss. As far as the textbook for this discipline is concerned, we have this very good book by Stephen Robbins on organizational behavior, which is by far a standard textbook, which is followed in most universities and B schools for OB. So if you can have a copy of your own, good. So Stephen Robbins is the text that we follow. mainly for the theoretical concepts. But apart from that, we also refer to other books. We also refer to new literature which may be emerging, some articles and some newspaper reports and so on from time to time. So if there's any such new literature that we refer to, we will share it with you. But rest of the things will be there in your book, which you can of course go through. Certain notes, certain things we might share, but most of the things, most of the topics you will find in the book. So get into the habit of reading books also. Okay, but apart from that, we'll try to share some reading material. We'll try to give you some something that we refer to apart from the usual textbook which is prescribed. So Zareen, I think, I think we can
meet tomorrow then.
We can wind up for today and meet tomorrow, and then we start with the classes. Right. If anybody has anything to say, if you want to point out anything or ask anything, just let us know. So, how many students? 83?
Yes, ma'am, 81.
Okay. Okay.
I can just take the snapshot of the attendance in the meanwhile, ma'am. Just a quick.
Okay. So tomorrow we'll be having our class in the third period. That is only for tomorrow. Otherwise, we will be following the usual timetable. I think tomorrow our class is scheduled at 12 or something, but it has been interchanged with Parvez sir's class. So only for tomorrow we'll be having it in the third period. Otherwise, we'll be sticking to the original timetable for future.
I have taken the record of the attendance for today.
Okay, so do we wind up, Zareen?
Okay, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Fine.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.